hymn number 1. So we are jumping to hymn number 12, because in between there were hymns which were not dedicated to Agni. It's the only mandala, actually, not the only, the 9th mandala is also not starting with Agni hymn, but the only mandala which is not continuously kind of going on with the hymns to Agni, because it is the mandala where there are many families of rishis, and each family of rishis starts with the hymns to Agni. So you will have these sections throughout the mandala. So this section of hymn number 1 was the Vaishvamitra Madhu Chandas, yes, and
Right.
and he was yes, he started with Agni, and then he moved to Vayu and Indra and so on. And now, once his 11 hymns are finished, we are coming to Medhatithi Kanva, and here this rishi again starts with Agni. So we will have 2 hymns to Agni by Medhatithi Kanva, another section. So we can say that Mandala 1 is like Rigveda itself. There are many families of rishis. There are most ancient rishis are there, for example, Kanva or Gotama Rahuganaha or Dirghaj Tama or Chatya and Agastya. So all these very ancient rishis, Kutsa Angirasa, so famous ones, and they have their own sections. So we could say it's like book 1 is the whole Rig Veda.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit the mantra you are using for this kind of studies? Because I heard it is different of the other ones you are using normally.
Oh, for this Vang Me Manasi, yes, but it's Shantipatra. Yeah? Yes, let us read the Shantipatra and explain it. Om Vang Me Manasi Pratisthita Mano Me Vachi Pratishtitam Aviravirma Edhi Vedasyama Ani Stha Shrutam Me Ma Prahasihi Anena Dhitena Horatran Samdadhami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmamavatu Tadvaktaramavatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram Avatu Vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is the Shantipatra, or Rigvediya Shantipatra. Yeah? It belongs to Rigveda. It is from Aitareya. And, each Shantipatra is like a signature for the Samhita. So you would have, if you hear this Shantipatra, you know that there would be a text from the Rigveda or Rigveda school in general. It can be Aitareya or Kaushitaki or... So these are 2 Brahmana, or 2 recensions which we have, 2 Brahmanas, Kaushitaki Brahmana and Aitareya Brahmana. If you hear Sahana Bhavatu, you know that it is Krishna Yajurveda, Taitiriya or Kathaka Samhita or Kapisthala Kathaka or Maitrayani Samhita. These are the texts for Krishna Yajurveda. If you hear Purnamadav Purnamidam, then you immediately know that it is Vajasane Samhita of Shukla Yajurveda. So it is like a signature, And when you hear Bhadram Karne Bhikshranu Yama Devaha, then you know that Atharva Veda will go. So these are the texts which are kind of entries to, or they are kind of warning us, as it were. It's like a, warning that there will be a text of that particular Samhita. It's kind of interesting. They are like signatures stuck to the text. And they are playing the role of Shantipatra. So they pacifying our mind, removing ourselves from the outer, concentrations and obligations and involvement with the outer world, with the secular world. We are moving into the sacred world. And in the sacred world, we will be able to listen to these mantras. Now, the Svang Me Manasi, Pratisthita, my speech is established in my mind. Manome vachi pratishtitam, my mind is established in my speech. Avir avir ma edhi, be revealed to me twice, like mind and speech be revealed to me. Vedas yama ani sthaha, you are two foundations of the Veda, of knowledge. Shrutam me ma prahasihi, that what was revealed to me, don't leave me. It's like direct speech. Shrutam me ma prahasihi, anena dhitena, by that learned, ahoratran samdadhami, I gather days and nights. By that which was revealed to me, I combine days and nights together, one after the other, uninterruptedly. Satyam vadishyami, ritam vadishyami, I shall speak the truth. I shall speak the truth twice, the truth static and the truth dynamic. These are the two different truths in the Veda. Later, in the post-Vedic literature, they are never distinguished. Ritam and Satyam are total synonyms. But in the Veda, they are two different dimensions of the truth. Yeah? Satyam is that what is, and Ritam is dynamically manifested. So in time and space. Or Ritam is interesting, from root ri, from here ritu, the season, and could be the same etymology for rhythm. It's a rhythmic manifestation in time and space. Sometimes they translate it as law, and Sri Aurobindo translates it as dynamic truth. Truth of becoming, because there is truth in becoming also, not only in being. Satyam is that what is, truth in being, and Ritam it's truth of becoming. So I shall express the truth of being, and I shall express the truth of becoming. Tanmam avatu, may that protect me, avatu. It's the major translation, usual translation, but root av has a meaning of pervading or growing from within, filling from within. From root u, av, guna, and that is kind of fill me from within, the expression of the dynamic and static truth. So that should fill me from within, or make me full of this truth. Tanmam avatu, and by that protect me. Tadvaktaram avatu, may that fill the speaker or the one who expresses the truth from within. Avatu mam, protect me. Avatu vaktaram, protect the speaker. Avatu vaktaram, protect the speaker. So when we say speaker, it means the one who expresses this truth in words. By the way, it's very close to the idea of rishis in the Rig Veda, because rishis are those who express this consciousness and speak the word. It means the hymn, in this case mantra. So there can be, anybody can be a rishi in the Rig Veda, not only the rishis as we know them, not only Medhatithi, Kanva in this case, but also it can be any being. It can be a god. Indra can be Rishi because he speaks, yeah. Or, or man or woman. There are many Rishikas. Yeah? Savitri Rishika is one of them, or Lopamudra. These are also rishis. So today we take hymn 12. Yes, if you want to clarify something or ask, you always interrupt. Just go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, if you can provide the text of the of the of the mantra in the beginning, it could be very.
Oh
very
yeah, definitely, definitely.
interesting.
I will send you the text, definitely. Yeah, somewhere I have it written. Somebody was already asking it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And you can see that this mantra has very little to do with any religion. Yes, my mind is established in my speech, and my speech is established in my mind. These are two foundations of the Veda, because speech is the earth and the mind is the meaning. So Shabda and the Artha, yes, they are separated by the space in between. And if you connect them together, you have the fullness of expression. Usually our mind and speech do not go together. What we say, we don't really think, truly. But if we totally match them, then we are.
This is the purpose of the yoga, isn't it?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
To connect speech and mind, to be totally sincere in one's speech, in one's self-expression. I translate speech as self-expression. So you have to express yourself truly, fully, as what you mean, and not what you want. All right. So here we are, this profound hymn. Very beautiful Gayatri, as you see. So here we can see Rishi Medhati Thikanva Devata Agni Chanda Gayatri. So Gayatri is usually 888, three times, three padas of 8-syllabic padas. So usually iambic rhythm, Agnim Dutam Vrni Mahe Hotaram Vishva Vedasam. This is the rhythm. And it has also an accent on the top. Agnim dutam vranimahe hotaram vishvavedasam asya yajnasya sukratum. Usually these accentuation, Vedic accent, is needed to preserve udatta, to preserve morphological accent. We spoke about this already. It is technical. It's technical in the sense that we know the accent. So accent udatta is everywhere marked properly. So I know where the accent should fall. So I know agnim dutam vrenimahe hotaram vishvavedasam asya yajnasya sukratum. Now I read to you in just diction, which is beyond Vedic accent, where the proper udatta is marked. How Vedic rishis spoke these verses. They spoke in this diction. Agnim dutam vrenimahe hotaram vishvavedasam asya yajnasya sukratum. This language is difficult for us because of the Vedic. We are used to the Vedic accent so much that we ignore udatta already. And because Svarita is higher than udatta, then we misplace this easily for Svarita udatta. There is a big mess with accentuation in the Vedic texts. The only truly authentic Vedic accentuation is found in the Rig Veda. Even Taittiriya is already kind of deviating from the precision of the Vedic accent. But here we have totally authentic text because the same accentuation is found in every word throughout. If it is agnim, you see the stress is on the second syllable, then agnim will be throughout the Vedic text, throughout the Rig Veda. There will be never other accent than this. Yeah? That by that we know that we are dealing with authentic text. Yeah? So it is not some kind of mixed up with over time because the text is very ancient. Okay, let us look into what it means. Agnim dutam vrenimahe. We choose Agni, Hotaram, the summoner, Vishvavedasam, the all-knowing, Asya Yajñasya Sukratum, the messenger and the will effective of this sacrifice. So, as you know, Agni is the Duta, is the messenger. He takes our offering, and we will see all his characteristics in this hymn. He takes the offering and he brings the offering to the gods. So he is the messenger also. He calls, invokes the gods, a summoner of the gods. So, and he is will effective of this sacrifice. So that means sukrato, who has a effective, perfect will, su, karato. The one with perfect will of this transformation. Now I'm translating yajna, sacrifice, as transformation of our nature by the Spirit. So he takes whatever we offer for the transformation and invokes the gods. He is Hotar, the summoner of the gods, of the higher divine powers, who have to come and obey his will, because he sacrifices here the gods. He is the one who is not only summons the gods, but also sacrifices here the gods. He is the most effective will of this transformation. So he brings down these forces into our lower hemisphere, and they start working here in accordance with his command. And truly speaking, the gods do not like this. They resist. They would like to stay in their own realm without, coming down. But he makes them come down. As it is said, Sadevan Ehavakshati, he should bring here the gods, or he sacrifices here the gods, as we read in book 5. How come that he sacrifices here the gods? Because it is a big sacrifice for them to come down and to work in this darkness, in this ignorance. They are not happy with this, but they must, because there is
I just have a question here.
yeah.
In this Eha Bhakshati, uh, does it have a sense of force, pulling or forcing them to come? Does
Yeah,
Vakshati convey that?
subjunctive of Rutvach, yes.
Okay.
He should bring here the gods, It is actually, it's a request, command of the Rishi to Agni, to the flame, to bring here the gods.
Okay.
And yes, and Sri Aurobindo translates Agni as the divine will. It's quite interesting. The divine will. It is that power in nature which commands higher forces to come down and to work here for evolution of consciousness, for the transformation of our lower being.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes. Okay. So here we are, we choose our messenger, the most effective will of the sacrifice to be the flame of the divine will in us, who should invoke the descent of the divine powers into us. And I'm adding, it's my interpretation, for he is the knower of all in this creation. Vishva Vedasam. is the one who discovers or recovers all, you know, the Vishva, Vedas. Vedas I'm translating not as a knower in terms of knowing as realizing, but knowing as recovering or bringing to their proper divine characteristic or prototype. So root vid is interesting. Like we have vid, veti, and vindati, yes, in 6th and 2nd class. And Panini says that there is no difference between these two, vindati and veti. So in two different classes, this root vid is translated as discovering, obtaining, vindati, and veti as knowing. So it is knowing as coming to know, or recovering, or discovering. It's very different from root jñā, jñānam, yes, which is janati, which means Sri Aurobindo translates it as self-realization, as having an experience of some kind. You cannot say in Sanskrit, for example, according to Panini, nowadays you can do many things, but according to Panini, you cannot say pustakam janami, I know that book, yeah? Tat pustakam janami. Nowadays they speak in the spoken Sanskrit this, but it is incorrect according to Panini. You can say only pustakena janami, I know with the help of the book. By the book I know. That means knowing here is actually very different. Yeah? You don't know something objectively with jñā-root. You realize yourself. You have some kind of experience or realization with the help of that. So you cognize yourself. Jñā is the same as knowledge, knowledge, gnosis. Yes, the same gno, jñā. You notice the same etymology. So vid is a bit different. It's closer to vid, to see. Huh? Like Veda, like video from vid of Latin. It is in that sense to know objectively, to recover, to discover. This is important to just, these are subtleties of the words which rishis feel very much. And when they say Vishvavedasam, they mean the one who recovers all, that recovers their proper divine properties. Yeah? The one who recovers divine properties of all. That's what the role of Agni is. So we choose him as our messenger.
Vladimir, what I understand about Agni is the same as Shakti. It's the energy in the moving energy. No, it's a vibration with some direction through the time up to the increasing evolution. It's a movement or vibration with direction, with some direction.
Yeah, but you try to technically kind of describe energy does not have consciousness in it, yeah? And even you give consciousness to it by direction, yeah? So to say, you think that energy with direction would be, but direction can be chosen by this consciously. It's a conscious force within, yeah? So
yeah, it's like Chik Shakti, no? When
yeah, Chit Shakti, yes. Yeah.
Right. Then Agni is Chik Shakti together. Chik Shakti.
Yes, absolutely.
Together is Agni.
Yeah.
Okay.
Involved.
Right. And then when we say this verse, we choose Agni, is like someone, us, an example, us, we choose Agni, but Agni is inside of us. This is what is keeping the process of evolution in us. How we choose Agni, because in in this case, if we choose Agni, is if there is the possibility of non-choose.
Yes, absolutely. There is a possibility not to choose Agni. Yeah.
Okay, and then Agni is like this, is like a person of personifying, no? We are personifying this kind of Chik Shakti. This is possible to make this kind of
Well,
personification.
this is another way of talking. Yes, personification is the way of mental talking about this. Maybe for the Vedic Rishi, it's not even personification, it's just indication of what we choose. We choose the divine will within us, and we don't choose any other will within us, because there are many wills within us of all kind of forces and creatures and desires and vital forces and lower forces and fears and all kinds of things and dogmas. So we don't choose them as our messenger, as our representative, let us say. We choose Agni as our representative. He is what we are now. He represents us, the divine will. Yajamana is our soul within, and Agni, the flame, will be our representative. He will summon the gods. And we consider ourselves not the body, not the vital, not the mental being. We believe we are the Yajamana, the soul. That's what it says to me.
Right. Then is the object is the outer being who is choosing the inner being.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, we who are a awakened consciousness on the surface, we need to make a choice who we are. Either we are inner being or we are outer being, staying outer. So we as an outer surface being choose to be inner. We bridge to the inner world. We make him the messenger of ourselves. We want him to come to the front.
Right. And then it's implicit to reject the other possibilities.
Right, absolutely. It's implicit that we don't choose other possibilities, we choose this as our representative. Yeah,
Beautiful. Thank you.
very nice. Thank you. And then there is another hymn, another verse. Agnim Agnim Havimabhih Sada Havanta Vishpatim Havyavaham Purupriyam. Such a simple diction, nearly classical Sanskrit. Yeah? To the Lord of the creatures, the bearer of our offerings, the beloved of many, to every flame the sacrificers ever call, with hymns that summon the gods, one in whom are many dear things. I will translate it more direct. We constantly invoke the divine will at every moment of our life, offering totally ourselves to him who is the leader of all men, the carrier of our offerings to the gods, most beloved among many. I will go word by word. Agnim, Agnim, repetition. Agni, Agni. Havimabhih, with our offerings, with our invocations offerings. This is something I must tell you also. Havanta, you look how many times Rishi speaks. Havimabhih Havanta Havyavahana. 3 times in one Gayatri. Yeah? So 3 times he uses this rudhu, juhoti, to make oblation, offering, and to call. And it's interesting, to offer and to call is the same root. So Hotar is the one who makes oblation and who invokes, summons the gods. So it seems that calling is actually offering. You can't call someone without offering. Why would you call someone, hey, and then what? So you have to call someone if you have something to give, to offer, you know? Nowadays, people invoke others to get something, not to offer. But in the ancient times, they were invoking when they had something to give. And that is the same root. This is amazing that these two meanings in the same root. So with our offerings, callings, we invoke you always, Vishpatim, the Lord of Vish, of people, of man. Vish is the general word from here, Vaishya. Yes, Vaishya is those who live. But it's interesting because the root is Vish, to enter. Vishati, yes, the root. And those who entered into this world, we are all coming from elsewhere. We entered into this, lower hemisphere, into this manifestation to make the world or the house for the divine. We are here engaged in building the divine manifestation. So we are all coming from elsewhere as sparks of fire, or the souls, or as it was said, we are choosing to be the souls, not the surface being. So and he is our Vishpati, he is our father. Agni is our father, and we are the sparks of this fire. So we invoke him constantly with our invocations, offerings. Agnim, Agnim twice. So Agni, Agni we invoke with our offerings, invocations. Havyavaham, the one who carries our offering. Purupriyam, who is beloved in many beings, or in whom are many dear things. Sri Aurobindo translates it as Bahuvrihi compound, as the one in whom many things are. And I'm translating it as Tat Purusha, the most beloved among many, or desired in many, wanted in many, because that is the divine being in us. And once that divine being is manifested on the surface, then all our desires will be realized. We just don't know about it. We think that the desires can be realized in different ways. No, only in one way, when the divine is manifested. Then all the desires are realized, not some against others. Yeah, you have some questions to these? No? I like this Agnim Agnim Havim Abihich. It's so poetic, so beautiful. Sri Aurobindo uses this in his Savitri. In body and body lit the divine flame. In body and body. Yes, this is something he took from Sanskrit. It's not typical for English literature to repeat the same.
Vladimir, I have a small question on the earlier line, which is Vrinimahe. What would that indicate? The earlier one.
Yes, we choose.
Okay.
We choose Agni as our messenger. Agnim dutam vrenimahe. Sorut vri. Vrenoti or vrenite. Either. Here we choose ourselves. It's interesting because it's Atmanepadam. So if you analyze grammar, we choose ourselves, or by ourselves, or for ourselves. It's this, yes.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, please.
No problem. No problem. Every word has to be understood because there's.
Why is used the plural and not the singular?
That vrenimahe, we
choose
Yes. Usually the Veda speaks always in terms of we. Yeah.
But why? Because it's for to chant in a group, or is?
I think it is in the name of the humanity. Yes. In the name of, because these hymns were created as vehicles for, they were brought down, so to say, or envisioned from the highest heaven for humanity to follow. Yes, these are the formations for all of us, or let us say these are the formations of the group soul of humanity, which were made in the highest heaven for the sake of helping us here in our evolutionary process. So if we read like this, we know that it's not only me, myself, it's not even my words, but it is the words of the group soul of the humanity. So it includes everyone, doesn't exclude anyone. This is a typical style for the Rig Veda.
Okay, thank you.
And then Agne divan ihavaha jajnano vrikta barhishe asi hota na idiach. O fire, thou being born hither, bear the gods for the sacrificer who spreads the holy seed. Thou art our desirable summoning priest. This repeating all the time, hota, hotarum, because the one who invokes the gods and who makes the offering to the gods. Now he is mentioned as Idia, beloved. I will speak on this a little more. O divine will, having arisen from within, as our messenger, bring here the divine powers for the one who made the space within himself wide for the gods to partake in this manifestation. For you are our summoner, who should be most adored. I'm kind of spelling out the ideas. Agne, O Agni, Devan, the gods, Iha, here, Avaha, bring. Bring here the gods. Jajnanach. Jajnanach. Here, for you, if you want to see, you see he is born. Participle present is perfect. You have all the spellings, all the grammatical material. I made this for some people before. So Jajnanach is the one who is born by himself, literally, yeah, because it's Atmanepadam participle. So born by oneself, Vrikta Barhishe. Barhis is an interesting word. It is this sacred grass, kusha grass later, yeah, on which they were spreading the kusha grass around for the gods to take place. Yeah? So they were invited to the sacrifice, and there was an order in which the gods had to take their seat at the sacrifice around the fire. So this barhis was this sacred grass they were putting around the fire and inviting the gods. It's an outer ritual. But in the inner meaning, barhis is from root brih, to expand, from here Brahman, from here Brihaspati, Brihat, all these words. Yeah? It is that expansion or making vacancy, making empty. Vrikta also, pulling out. Yeah, Vrikta Barhishe, with making, I'm translating, who made the space within himself wide for the gods to partake in this manifestation. The whole sentence I made for Vrikta Barhishe, for the one who vacated the space in himself for the gods. who emptied himself for the gods to come in and to settle within him, for the higher powers. So we must make some order within ourselves before we invite the gods. So we cannot invite the gods into this crowded space of ours. We need to make an order. As Sri Aurobindo says, the lamp is to be trimmed, the temple is to be cleaned and kept clean, and then gods can come. Otherwise, if we live ordinary life and full of thoughts and worries and fears, they will not come into that space. They are not welcome there.
In some way, is to pay attention, no? Give space is like an offering. When you call in something, when you call in someone, you're offering your attention in the same time.
Yeah.
And offering the attention is opening the space, is paying attention. I think so.
Also, yes, paying attention. So you vacate your attention from other kind of, our attention is hooked to many things, desires, worries, obligations. We are doing so many things at the same time, thinking too many things. So all that has to come down and come only to this attention, yes. And that is kind of cleansing the inner space, yes.
Yeah,
open
space and time.
Also a kind of a sacrifice from our side.
In a way, yeah. We have to make this surrender, as Sri Aurobindo says, but don't expect that the divine will make even surrender for you. Yeah. You will have to do some part of yourself. You will have to prepare it and to do the surrender movement, yeah? And then the divine will take charge. But on your side, you will have to do it. And this is Vrikta Barhis, yeah? The one who pulls out all those things and prepares, vacates the space for being the divine now, not being himself overloaded with ordinary stuff.
Vladimir, I have a question. In the previous one, you mentioned to choose. So does it mean like when we are invoking the fire, it goes through different levels of consciousness? If we have to choose, does it mean there is a choiceless awareness?
There is always a choice, yes. It's an interesting thing. We cannot do it without choice. We must choose, yes. Choose all the time, yes, the divine will in us, yeah. And it has to be kept always intact, yeah, always alive, always inflamed. Otherwise it will disappear, it will go beyond the veil.
So what do they mean by when you're being completely present and when there is a choiceless awareness?
Choiceless awareness. Nice. When the flame is totally kindled and flames in front, when the inner being comes to the front, then yeah, you have no choice but to fall. Yes. But when the psychic being is in front, yes. Until that, we have to choose.
It's beautiful.
So Vladimir, what is self-born?
Right, this is beautiful, self-born, yes. He is self-born. He is not born by anybody. Yeah? He is not the result of somebody's doing something. He is burning by himself within. Yeah? When we discover that flame within the heart or within ourself, as Mother says, when we go down, deep down into the being, then we discover the flame burning there, you know? And it is burning by itself. So what we need to bridge it, to bring it forward into our mental, vital, and physical surface nature. And that flame has to come forward, to step out from within to without, and lead our journey forward, become Purohitam, become the one who is put in front of our journey.
So it is the same as the psychic being.
Yes.
But Mother says everybody doesn't have the psychic being.
Yes, everybody has. Yes, it's very rare that people don't have. It's so rare. It's rather some kind of rakshasas or asuras who by some mistake or by banishing the soul from that embodiment took charge of the body. It's quite rare. There are cases. Mother speaks about these cases. Yes. For example, one of the greatest case in the world was Stalin, who didn't have psychic being. Mother speaks about this. It was a vital formation. There are some people who have very then they have very paranoid kind of sense of fears. They have fears of being pursued and hunted by the forces. They're very afraid. They are not showing it. They're exercising their cruelty on others without any remorse. These are the Asuric powers or Rakshasic powers. But it's so rare, but there are cases. For example, she mentions Hitler and she says Hitler had small psychic being there, a small spark. Yeah? It wasn't totally void of the divine presence, but Stalin didn't have. It's quite interesting to compare these two great personalities in the human history, just to have some kind of sense what it means.
Thank you.
All right, I will maybe. Oh, Marta is here. So lovely. Yeah. I didn't see everyone because of Anna is also here. So lovely. So if you have some thoughts to share or some questions, please let us share. Oh. You see how much is packed into this simple few lines. How much is implied in simple language.
The use of the word "we" is really wonderful. I think that struck me as so meaningful, representing the humanity rather than an individual supplicant. Really very beautiful that way.
Absolutely. It feels so at home. You don't need to exclude anyone. You need to include everyone, yeah, for this movement. Even if they are not there, yes, you choose in the name of we. Yeah? You include them in this highest choice. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Except the panis, no?
Yeah, panis is. Panis, well, panis is a big topic. Yeah,
Right. Okay.
And it's wonderful topic. It's a psychological topic of our senses of action, or karmendriyas. Yes, we spoke about them once in a while. I don't remember when, but these karmendriyas are actually not so much enemies, as Sri Aurobindo says. They are just not capable of doing otherwise. Yeah? They must kind of gather light. They catch the light and hold it. They know that it is valuable, but they do not know how valuable. So they trade the light for something else, for their, for their greatness, for their promotion, for their, but they just can't do otherwise, because they grew up from the inconscient, the indriyas of action, and they need to be enlightened. So they're attracted to this light, but they do not know how and why. So that's why Indra comes and he illumines them or destroys them.
How do we get the translations that you had just showed?
Oh, yeah, I will send you. This is these files are available for our studies. It's okay. This is interpretation. We can always, yes, the first one is Sri Aurobindo's translation, my interpretation, and the words below. So for your studies, so you could study it by yourself.
And the Shanti mantra also, because you had said a lot of things about that.
Sure, I will send these two files after the
Thank you.
after the session.
Sorry, Vladimir, can you deconstruct the word antariksha?
Antariksha, yes.
Antariksha.
This is a difficult case.
Antaratman?
Antariksha, yes. It's something like in between. Antar is in between, positioning in between. It's a difficult antariksha, so to say, breaking through. So antariksha is that which is in between. It's a gap or the crack between the worlds. Yeah? By the way, that crack grows into the whole vital world, but there is one passage which goes beyond heaven and earth, goes into the supreme ocean and supreme inconscient ocean and supreme superconscient ocean. This passage through which all those forces, higher and lower forces, enter into our life, into our adhar, into our being, into our vehicle. The armies of light and darkness are clashing here within us, fighting for our soul as the costly prize, says Sri Aurobindo. We are not alone here. It's not we. We think that we are. That is our desires, our thoughts. No, these are the armies enter and they offer us and we choose this or that, this or that side. And that's why we are kind of joining these parties of these armies. You know? They're using us. They're fighting for our soul.
And this passage is in the vital?
Yes, it's all in the vital. Yes. And it's interesting because in the Vedas, it is described as the hill. So you have to, in order to come to go to the beyond, you have to rise to the hill, and there will be a passage through. And it's quite interesting because you remember this Aladdin. There was a kind of a hill and the Cave of Wonders. It's exactly the same story, the Cave of Wonders, which you have to enter, so to say. And Sri Aurobindo, in his book 2, The Traveler of the Worlds, is also very interestingly describes this, that we are rising to the vital worlds, and then there is a fall into night. There is the descent into night. Yeah.
I've often wondered why he described the descent into night at that point.
Yes, in the middle, because of this. Antariksha is the entry to the below the physical. Otherwise, through the physical, we cannot go below. Physical is the protection, actually, from below.
Yes, manifest.
Yeah, that's why we can go only through the vital realm below the physical, into the inconscient and into the superconscient.
And there is any relation between Antariksha and Antaratman? Antaratman is psychic being, isn't it?
It's yes, involved Atman. Yes, this is projection. Yes, Antaratman or Antaryamin. So Antar is in, literally in. Yeah? In inner Atman, inner self, involved self. Jivatma is the one above the head, and Antaratman is involved. There are two poises of Atman. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. If no questions anymore, I will close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om. Namaste.